Town of Rome Plan Commission Public Hearing, regular meeting to order for Tuesday, July 11th, 2023 at 4 o'clock p.m. Number 2 is a roll call, starting on my right.
Weisinger.
Baker,
Dilge.
Jamadi here.
Capel.
Commissioner Williams has been excused. Also present are Town Administrator Jamie Gebert, Town Planning and Zoning Administrator Emily Zeddies, and Town Attorney Nick Flanagan. Item number 3 is to certify the posting of the meeting.
The agenda for the July 11th Planning Commission meeting was posted at the following locations on 6/27/23, Rome Municipal Building at 11:03 a.m., Quick Trip at 12:12 p.m., Nakusa Port Edward State Bank at 12:18 p.m., emailed to the Wisconsin Daily Tribune 11:17 a.m., emailed to town website 11:17 a.m., printed in the Wisconsin Daily Tribune 6:27 and 7:05.
Thank you. Item number 4 is to approve the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda with the exception of items 7A and 10 due to the recent events involving the actual design and development of the plat map, and that the final plat map has not been received from general engineering.
Second.
And also,
No, I'm sorry.
no, and also item 11 should read discussion and possible action, not recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion been made and seconded with the changes to the agenda. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 5 is the citizen comment portion of the agenda. During the citizen comment period of the agenda, the Plan Commission welcomes comments from any town resident, not a member of the commission, on any item not on the agenda. Please know that pursuant to state law, the commission cannot engage in conversation with you, but may ask questions. The commission may refer the item to staff, a standing committee, or a future Plan Commission agenda for discussion and action. Each person wishing to speak will have up to 3 minutes to speak. Speakers are asked to submit a card to the chair, providing their name, address, and topic for discussion. And we have Tom Gabriel from 1032 East Queensway wanting to speak regarding a change to the town ordinance for accessory building in the commercial A of the Rome Town Center. Tom?
Well, you pretty much summed it up. I own property in commercial A of the Rome Town Center. I was told this is the place to start, so I'm asking that you guys take up an agenda item for either in August or September so we can discuss accessory buildings in commercial A of the Rome Town Center. I'm not the only business that is interested in this item, and I think it should at least be discussed. Whether it gets changed or not, that's down the road, but we should at least have a discussion on it.
Okay. I will pass this on to the zoning administrator, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is he requesting like certain uses for the accessory building? Limitations on the use of an accessory building, or?
You'd like construction in commercial A.
There's no.
It would be more construction in commercial A.
Right.
According to commercial A right now, we are not allowing any accessory buildings. Accessory buildings, I guess, from zoning is sheds, garages, or any other structure on the property. When we look at the entire Rome Town Center, I think it is at least a topic of discussion.
Okay. Thank you, Tom.
That has been brought up by other business owners in Town Center, like you mentioned, as something that they do want, thinking of maintaining landscaping, storing their weed whackers, lawnmowers, etc.
Very good. Okay. The next section is no action is going to be contemplated except possible referral to a future agenda. Item number 6, information updates, recent correspondence, current events, and announcements. Does anybody have anything they would like to bring forward?
I have nothing.
I have an item. There are 2 members here that are also part of the Community Development Authority, Supervisor Jamadi and Commissioner Williams. And we've been working on a mural project that would go on to the Public Works Building. I do have 3 options that I can just pass around with the committee. The option 1 is what was submitted by the artist that we selected. Option 2 and 3 are slightly different wording of what that mural could look like. This would be our first beautification project, and so just kind of looking from the plan commission, potential thoughts of how we may want to approve or look at or permit such a first time item.
So in sign code, in public, semi-public, it says, signs would need to be approved by plan commission. And so I guess we're approaching you guys as this is a first with artwork in town, as to how this should be addressed.
The final selection of the art is gonna be handled by the CDA on, hopefully on the 20th. It's on their agenda for the 20th of July, which is why you're seeing three similar but not, specific designs, not final design.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
If I could. So, understanding the timing as far as the development and approval of the maquette, can we have, would it work from a timing perspective then to have it on the next plan commission meeting?
We're running into it.
It would be close, right? Because we just, the hope is still to have it painted this summer, and we would still have at least a solid month in order to have it painted. We will likely take the agreement to the CDA and the town board on the 20th to actually enter into a contract with the artist. And some of that might be contingent on plan commission, but again, since this is our first public art project, it's kind of uncharted territory on what would the plan commission be looking for or approve.
Okay,
Or
thank
if they just handled the permitting, like if CDA, cause CDA is handling really the artwork and talking to the artist, would plan commission just say, we would like to see the final decision made by CDA, and we'll make like essentially like the final look over approval of permit?
That's what I'm saying, yes.
Yes, because we do, as a member of the CDA, I can speak on behalf of the timing of it all, and we're running into a number of different issues as far as the artist and his time frame, as well as the summer heat and the products that he uses to do the artwork as part of the beautification artwork project that it is. And then he also has a personal schedule involved with children entering school for the first time. So we're trying to do a number of things here, and this is a kickoff project for beautification. So I appreciate the zoning administrator's input as far as permitting versus signage. So that's where this is a CDA thing versus, so we're.
Mr. Chairman,
Please.
there was, several years ago, an organization that wanted to place water drop signs. Do we call that? And, I know there was discussion with regard to having some in, Rome Town Center, and I believe our commission said no. They were saying that it was art and not a sign. But we denied them the ability to do that because we said it was a sign. What is the difference between this and our decision then?
So, a couple things. I would just note the timing of that did come before the Reed decision, which greatly changed the landscape of our ordinance and sign regulations across the country. Second, I believe after the Plan Commission had reviewed it, I believe the town board ultimately considered it. My recollection was that I think there was a recommendation and it ultimately went to the town board too. But I think they also decided consistently to it. I would also then finally say that this would fit our definition of the sign. But we've updated our ordinance significantly since then because of Reed.
Okay,
But
okay.
But my question originally was relating to the permit piece, and I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page from the standpoint of design approval versus sign permit. And so the sign permit would have to be with this plan commission.
And given this is public, semi-public, it says in code that all signs are approved by plan commission. Like you approved the Derek Q sign, you approved the fire department sign, you approved the police department sign. Again, I understand it's slightly different because it's a mural and we haven't done a mural before, but that's why we wanted to have the conversation ahead rather than after. So I would defer to the plan commission on how you'd like to handle it. going further.
So we have a time problem?
Can we see
That's a
him,
big part of it.
Oh.
Can you pass them down?
please?
Sure, that would be nice, thank you. That is a big part of it, yes. Because we're getting into the heat of August and July, we are getting some donations, and so.
So, do you, Lori or Jamie, know the artist's schedule? What, I mean,
Yes.
I know, you said he's kinda under time constraints.
With other projects, our project ends school for his children.
So if this would come back to us next month, does that still fall in within his parameters of time?
No.
Well, he would likely have another month of summer. It's, a lot's gonna depend on weather, right, cause it's an outside project. But, likely after the September 15th timeframe, the weather is not probably conducive.
School starts before Labor Day. And so our meeting is what, the,
22nd.
The second Tuesday in August would be
and we
the
actually
15th.
have a class in this room that day
No,
until 3.
it would be the 8th.
Yeah, and we have a class in this room that day until 3. So
We can do that class in the former fire chief office.
I'm gonna be in that class and I'm in this meeting, so we'll have to figure out something that day, but, yes. So he needs at least 30 days, I believe, he said, to complete this. Did you want, anybody wanna see that?
If I understand it right, though, the plan commission must approve the sign permit. That should be done before the sign starts construction. So
And I think as we move forward too, that's something we might wanna consider in the future, sign versus artwork, because we're planning on expanding a public arts initiative, so, but that's a talk for another day. Sign versus artwork. Something on a post, something on a board, something
Well,
on a
and it might-
billboard, but that's a discussion.
Maybe it's not. If
Right.
maybe you determine artwork and signs are different, and if it's specifically artwork and semi-public, and it's going through a CDA, another committee of the towns, does Plan Commission need that approval?
That's why we're asking the question. Again, apologies, all the easy decisions have been made. We learned that yesterday.
Mike?
but-
Tom's looking. Mike?
Can any citizens see those drawings?
Yeah. I can
Certainly.
grab
Oh,
them.
yeah. Okay, any further discussion on the artwork?
So, just at the end of the meeting under next agenda items, I think we would be looking for some direction. Does it have to come back in August? What's our, there will be some time in here to have meeting, but I think staff are looking for some direction, what Plan Commission would like to see going forward.
And the one question and clarification, what building is that?
It's the Public Works Building, which is the one between the
Behind.
police department and the fire
I
department.
thought so, but
And does that raise a
Nice
question
looking
in
yellow
that
one.
it's on one of our our own buildings that we own? And it's not making a public statement, it's a beautification project, so that raises some other questions.
And it is different, it's not like now let's say a business owner
Not
wants to put their name painted on a building, that would be a sign. It's anything with advertisement is a sign.
Yeah.
And you can, and since this is being approved through CDA, it does have an approval process, where that way you still have, a say in, somebody can't just go paint a large mural on their own building somewhere in town, because this does have an approval process.
Nick?
I would just say, Diana's right. There's history here.
Say that again.
There's history here.
I have it recorded.
It is something that we can certainly have a conversation about, but I don't think we would want to leave ourselves wide open for statements that artwork is not a sign. This has a message. This would fit our definition of sign. We can look at that specific district, which is what I think the zoning administrator is referencing. But I would not be supportive of stripping our ability to regulate those things, because it could leave us very vulnerable throughout the town.
But moving forward for public art initiatives, we have to figure out something in the future, otherwise we can't ever have a public arts initiative. So, I mean, how do other towns, villages, and cities handle it? And I'm sure there's history there somehow, I'm sure they deal with it somehow. So we wouldn't be the first ones venturing into that.
Certainly not.
So, next agenda?
So how do we do this in the meantime then to get it started with CDA on the 20th?
Well, the contract with the artist and the final selection of the art design would go to the CDA on the 20th and the town board on the 20th. I mean, that would keep the process moving.
Right,
But if it's gonna be permitted as a sign through the plan commission, then that would come back on the 8th. You would see the final design selected by the CDA and issue a permit for the sign.
and when can the artist start?
I think that the goal, either way, is to have a mural on the side of the building. There are things likely that the artist could start the washing and the priming of that building before the actual artwork would start.
That does not become a sign until they put the lettering up there, correct? They can put the background up. That's not a sign. There's no lettering on it.
Very good point, Jerry, thank you.
So they could start before the 8th, but the final approval would come the 8th.
Lettering would have to wait until after we have sign permit approved.
Very good point, Jerry, thank you.
Otherwise, it's no different painting your side of your building on a lot of different colors.
That's a good point.
Nick, you look like,
I think that, so, plus there's going to need to be preparation, like, the administrator had pointed out, that preparation of that building, including, washing and priming, is going to take some time, right? And so I don't think we're going to be, throwing our, timelines out of whack in doing it how it's being
And you
proposed.
could start the painting, you just couldn't put the wording on it.
Well, that would be one of the last things he puts on anyway.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Great.
so we're all squared away? Okay. We'll move on to item number 7, to open the public hearing.
One more announcement.
Okay.
This will be my last plan commission meeting. I've accepted a position at Wood County.
We're sorry to hear that. Very sorry.
Yes, very sorry.
I'll miss you all.
Miss you very much, Emily. Thank you for your service to
Do you
the
have a,
town.
do you have a staff there?
I do not have my personal staff, no. There's a staff in the planning and zoning department of, I think, 6.
Wow.
It's a credible opportunity. She'll be second in command to the planning and zoning director in Wood County.
Wonderful. Good luck.
Best of luck.
Thank you for your
Thank you so much for your assistance.
It's a great loss.
Okay, well, thank you for that announcement.
Not
Sorry.
really.
Yeah. 7B, consideration of the issuance of a conditional use permit for the following purpose. The short-term rental at the property located at 1403 Rapids Trail, owned by Michael Bisworm, also described as Lot 11 of Shimmering Waters addition to Lake Arrowhead, located in the northeast 1/4, section 13, Town 20 North, Range 05 East, Town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with a parcel number of 030-4314. Emily?
Letters were sent to 8 property owners within 200 feet of the affected property. Staff recommends a maximum occupancy of 4, maximum vehicles of 2 to be parked on hard surfaces, not on the lawn or grass at the property. This is for both short-term rentals tonight. The applicant has completed all license requirements, including a property manager within 25 miles on record with the town. Michael is here to represent his property.
Nope, Stephanie's here.
Sorry, we have 2 Michaels tonight.
Okay.
Stephanie is here to represent this property.
With remarkably similar last names.
Does anyone have any questions for Stephanie? I assume not then? Or are you still looking?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
We'll move on to 7C. Consideration of the issuance of a conditional use permit for the following purpose. The short-term rental at the property located at 355 Leeds Court, owned by Kelly and Michael Backus, also described as Lot 18 of Leeds addition to Lake Camelot, located in the northeast quarter, southeast quarter, section 15, town 20 north, range 6 east, town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, parcel number of 030-5800. Emily.
Letters were sent to 12 property owners within 200 feet of the affected property. Staff recommends a maximum occupancy of 12, maximum vehicles of 6 to be parked on hard surfaces, not on the lawn or grass at the property. Michael is here for this property.
Sir, you wanna step up and just let us know what your intentions are and how you're gonna work this?
Sure. Yeah, so partial short-term rental, partial recreation for my family. That's the intended usage.
Okay. Does any commissioners have a question for Michael?
Recommended, maximum vehicles of 6 to be parked on hard surfaces. 6 cars can fit in front of the garage door, or are you anticipating 2 people parking inside the garage?
I
2
would
cars.
anticipate in front of the garage door.
6, 1, 2.
It's a fairly long driveway.
And vehicles would be boats, ATVs, vehicles, cars. So it encompass all of that.
I remember this property correctly, it's set a little bit further back off of Leeds, so
Not too far. It wasn't too far off. And there are no additional, it's just, the driveway goes right up to the, garage door. There aren't additional, like, room on the side. It goes straight up.
Correct.
And there's no other parking pad there besides that.
would you be comfortable with 4 cars?
I'd like to have the option of 6. I've done it. My family's been up visiting. We've done it appropriately. There's been no parking on the street or any lawn surfaces, so it's been done.
And the 6 cars fit without going into like that right of way area, right?
Correct. Yep. So we buttoned up right up to the garage. SUVs, trucks, cars. It's been fine. It's not gone onto the road at all.
Okay.
So,
It's a very pretty property.
thank you. Thank you.
Ma'am, you're in the back. You have a question or comment? You wanna come up to the front, please?
Sure.
I'm Kim Davis, 349 Leeds Court, and I've been here over 25 years, and I have big concerns not only about this property, but all of the rental properties. My concern is kind of twofold. One is capacity for the town to manage the people that come in and don't have a vested interest. I remember years ago, my kids would set off a couple fireworks, the police would be there. Now we have exorbitant displays on the lake. Nobody comes, nobody does anything. I think that's a capacity issue for the town, just like the dump, I'm gonna say. Not recycling center, I'm from, go to the dump. But I think that we have to watch how many of these properties we're putting in. These people do not have a vested interest. They do not know the ordinances, nor do I believe they have any interest when they're paying big bucks to follow any of the ordinances. They just wanna have a good time. And that is a big concern to me. They bring on big boats that are surf boats that are eroding the lake itself. They really don't know the ordinances, and even the people we have that know the ordinances, I think in the last few years, have not been following them. So to me, it's an issue of capacity, and I am concerned, my shirt, Life at the Lake. I never used to hear boats going up and down the lake, full speed, at 2 in the morning. Now I do. There are capacity issues for people not following the ordinances that are out there, including like, we had a lot of campers stay on all the lots. Finally, I think you guys have stepped up on that. I appreciate that for the winter. But we have to have the capacity to manage this. with 6 cars coming in and different people coming in and out, I have major concerns. It's not only your property, I'm speaking for all the properties, but this one happens to be by mine. So I hope that you consider some of those things, because I want life at the lake to remain good, like it has been for the last 20-something years up here, and those are my concerns. Thank you. And I knew I was a little late.
Do you want to respond to anything, sir, as long as you're there?
Generally speaking, so I've been coming up here since 2010. So I have family, friends that live on the lakes course and have an appreciation for the area. I love Rome. It's a great area. I want to keep it and abide by the ordinances. We're going to be very selective in who we allow at our property. It's not meant to be a party home. It's meant to be used and loved by families, just like mine. So that's really the goal of the property, to use it as recreation and obviously as a short-term rental. So that's really all I can add as a response.
Okay.
So.
Commissioners?
I have just one
Certainly.
question, and I don't think this has anything to do perhaps with this, but the Leeds Beach Center, do the renters, are they able to also utilize the beach center, or that you know of, or is there any restriction on something?
That I don't know.
They cannot use the beach club, and this property has lake frontage, so he doesn't have deeded access to that beach club. So they cannot use the
They
beach
cannot
club.
use the beach club.
However, there is nobody to ever enforce that. I am adjacent to that property, so I know that there's nobody to ever enforce that. I have never in all the 25 years I've been here seen anybody come and say, can you tell me, are you, do you have an offshore lot or an onshore
Well,
lot?
that's the responsibility of all the people that are deeded access to the beach club. It's not,
That's correct, but again, it's capacity for
Well-
who's going to be monitoring that.
well, that's an issue that we don't have any control over.
I understand that.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Would you be willing to post something inside of your property that would indicate?
So, my wife and I plan on doing like a very detailed informational booklet. So as far as sharing do's and don'ts, like we have no problem, sharing that with the folks that would stay there. Like I'd mentioned, we're gonna be pretty particular about who we allow access, so I would have no issue doing that. If there's any recommended, language or information to share, like.
Well, that would be
We
part,
can't give them
I
recommended
understand that,
language.
Lori,
We cannot get
but
into
it's
that.
not anything that he wouldn't be willing to possibly do with your other deeded access people, I don't know.
Your license that you receive will have the listing of
Okay.
town code on it.
Sure.
You can make any of that larger in the booklet, but your license will have that listing for
Okay.
fireworks, noise, the boating restrictions that are specific to the town.
Right.
For the piece about the deeded access, you can contact the Property Owners Association, and they could potentially help you with that language. But the license you get that you'll have to put on display would have town code related to it.
Okay.
In addition, the other piece would be the host compliance hotline, which in the mailing you should have gotten the number and the email that you can use for host compliance. If there's more than 3 validated complaints against a property, cited complaints, they lose their license. We haven't had any properties that has occurred to, but it does, all calls that come into that are recorded and are followed up on either by the police department or by the town. Police department, safety issues happen, if it's not corrected, will come out right away. Zoning issues, like he has someone parked on the street in the cul-de-sac utilizing the beach club, that's followed up. Those are non-emergency, those are followed up by the town on the next business day, but addressed with the property owners.
Okay. And I've noticed that there's been, trailers parked around that cul-de-sac, like in the center area with, there is grass there. I don't know if I've seen neighbors do it that currently live there. I don't know if that's allowed or disallowed. It's not impeding any access around the cul-de-sac. So that was just more of a general question.
To get you a for sure answer on that, contact Brad, Director of Public Works.
Okay.
I believe it's not permitted, but
Okay.
contact him and he'll give you a for sure answer.
Yeah, I've noticed it and wasn't sure if that's specific to this conversation or not, so.
Certainly for when you're renting, the 6 cars would be specific for the property.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Those, just a comment, I would check, as they stated with Brad, our Public Works Director, because that's considered town property, not, those cul-de-sacs belong to the town.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Item number 8 is to close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Diana, second by Jerry to close the public hearing. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next section is to discuss some possible action on the following items. Number 9, discussion of possible action on the meeting minutes from Tuesday, June 13th, 2023.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second?
Okay, motion by Jerry, second by Diana to approve the meeting minutes from Tuesday, June 13th, 2023. Any further discussion? Hearing none, then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 11. Discussion and possible action. Consideration of the issuance of a conditional use permit for the following purpose. The short-term rental at the property located at 1403 Rapids Trail, owned by Michael Bisworm, also described as the Lot 11 of Shimmering Waters addition to Lake Arrowhead, located in the northeast one quarter, section 13, town 20 north, range 5 east, town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with a parcel number of 030-4314.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Just
sir.
a reminder that both 11 and 12 do have findings of fact in your packets.
Okay.
Just for your reference.
I'll make a motion to approve conditional use permit for short-term rental on the property for the property located at 1403 Rapids Trail with the findings of fact as listed.
I'll second the motion.
Stephanie, we're comfortable with 4 occupancy, 2 vehicles? Okay.
Okay, there's been a motion by Jerry, seconded by Paul, to approve the conditional use permit for 1403 Rapids Trail. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Number 12, discussion of possible action, consideration of the issuance of a conditional use permit for the following purpose. The short-term rental at the property located at 355 Leeds Court, owned by Kelly and Michael Backus, also described as Lot 18 of Leeds addition to Lake Camelot, located in the northeast one quarter, southeast one quarter, section 15, town 20 north, range 6 east, town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, parcel number of 030-5800.
I'll make a motion that we approve the conditional use permit presented by Mr. Backus for 355 Leeds Court with the inclusion of the findings of fact and the conditions that are placed on there for the approval. That's it.
Second.
Okay, motion by Diana, second by Jerry to approve the conditional use permit for 355 Leeds Court. Any further discussion?
If you want, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
If we just want to, for the sake of those that spoke against, if we just want to clarify for them why there are 6 vehicles, unless that's not important, but the maximum occupancy for this is 12, so we always have that, and that's why there's 6 vehicles being allowed at this particular property.
We have, unless,
There's
I
no
mean,
room.
I've knocked it down further before if I don't
Right.
think the driveway is adequate, but,
Right. I'm just
Yes.
stating for their sake why there's 6 vehicles being allowed.
yep.
But thank you for clarifying further, because we did do that just a couple of weeks ago with a large, yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, then all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Number 13, discussion of possible referral to a future agenda. Consideration of proposed amendments to Chapter 360 zoning, Article 8, R21 and two-family manufactured dwelling residence district regarding manufactured and mobile homes. Nick, are you starting this, or is Emily?
I'll start. So I did state this same little excerpt, just quickly at the last meeting, but I'll, just recap. A manufactured home and a mobile home are two of the same structure. They are brought in on wheels and have a permanent steel frame supporting it. A manufactured dwelling, keyword dwelling, is completely different. This dwelling comes in on a semi-trailer and has standard wood frame structure. R2, 1 and 2 family, and manufactured dwelling residence allows for manufactured homes. Included in the packet is Article 8, Chapter 142, Building Construction, 142.12, Manufactured Homes. Neither state statutes or town codes state a minimum age for a manufactured home. But UDC standard went into place, I'm forgetting the exact year, but that would be, it must meet UDC standard to be, or sorry, HUD.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
jump in.
Go for it.
All right, so when we start talking about design and construction of manufactured homes, so again, keeping in mind the distinction between manufactured home and manufactured dwelling, but when we're talking about manufactured homes in specific, those are going to be regulated by HUD, or the Housing and Urban Development. They're not subject to UDC requirements. One key date to be aware of is that prior to regulation by HUD in 1976, they were really known as mobile homes, and their design and construction were not uniformly regulated. Then after 1976, they've been regulated by HUD. So that 1976 is the date that the zoning administrator was referencing. And yeah, certainly happy to answer any other questions, but that's just to clarify where that date was and what that meant.
You said 1976, they are subject to HUD and UDC.
No, they're not
What
subject to
year
UDC.
did they, I thought there was a year that Uniform Dwelling Code did apply to some manufactured homes.
Manufactured homes, I'm not sure that that UDC applies to manufactured.
If they're on
I
a
misspoke.
slab or a raised, I thought if they were on a slab or a raised, like if they have a concrete,
It's the HUD standard that went into place, not UDC.
okay,
I said UDC, I'm
okay. Cause I thought, is that maybe different than for a modular type dwelling, which can be confused, like a prefab home that can be confused, that those require
Modular home will require,
UDC code? All right,
Yes.
but those can still be put on a slab or a raised basement, which is considered a crawl space, which
Yes,
has like,
they will have a foundation.
right, like a slab with blocks, it's not necessarily a basement.
Yeah, no, it can be an on-slab foundation.
Yeah, okay. But again, manufactured homes, which is kind of what caused us some issues and well, not issues, but just affected the decision we made with the property behind the Rome Town Center, is people don't fully understand what a manufactured home is. They're often confused with trailers, mobiles, correct?
Mobile home is a manufactured home.
Right, but people don't always fully understand that a manufactured home is not a mobile. Correct? A manufactured home doesn't look like a 14 by 80 or 16 by 7, you know what I'm saying?
It is.
And it can affect our decision if we don't fully think those through when we're making decisions regarding subdivisions being changed from an R4 to an R2 or an R1 that permits camping. Or, which, I should leave the camping out of it, but if we make a decision, leave camping out of it, but if we make a decision changing an R4 to an R2 versus an R1, because of the manufactured housing discussion like we had regarding that subdivision behind the Rome Town Center, we limited ourselves to the type of housing that was allowed, because there's a misunderstanding regarding manufactured housing.
I think there's confusion between manufactured dwelling and manufactured home.
And both are permitted, yes.
Yes. because people still think it might be a mobile, like a 14 by 60 or 17 by 80. They don't, people, when we discuss that and they get confused.
Isn't a mobile home a manufactured home though? Isn't it
Yes.
one
Or a
and the same?
dwelling, it could be, those words are
Dwelling, a
unfortunately.
dwelling is different. That's a modular home, basically.
Yes.
Yes.
So if R2, you can put like a 16 by 80 on that, yes.
A manufactured.
Which would be a mobile home or manufactured home.
Which affected our discussion and decision-making regarding that subdivision. Just saying. But that's why we had, and I appreciate that, if you could share that blurb with us, is just, cause I've printed
You
out
have
things.
it.
Did you give us that with our
Yeah, it's in
handout?
the admin report.
Oh, did I, maybe I read it again, I apologize. Yes, thank you. I have more here that I printed out, so I apologize for not reading it again, Emily, thank you. Cause I printed out manufactured housing, modular, and dwelling code, so it's my. So there's no decision to be made, we're just having this discussion for clarity.
It doesn't, so, the conversation though doesn't change that manufactured home, mobile home, still only allowed in R2.
Correct.
And
And
there
people
isn't,
can bring in used mobile homes and put them on properties as long as they meet HUD standards. So as long as it's at least built in 1976 or newer, it can go on any property, even if it's used.
in R2.
In R2, yes, sorry, any R2 property.
I had raised the question about age just because some of them could be of concern.
Can I ask that anything 76 or newer meets that standard? You wouldn't have to have someone, if someone came in and said, can I move an existing mobile home that I own here, and it was built in 84, it meets the standard.
Yep,
Okay,
and we actually just had one do that.
yeah.
I don't know if it was built in 84, but.
I'm just, yeah, anything
Yes.
past 76 would be able to would be able to move to an R2 zoning
Yep.
lot.
They're allowed in R2, but no others?
Correct.
No others, just right.
And we're being asked to consider this for what purpose?
It was asked by Plan Commission to bring this back as discussion regarding the differences between a mobile home and a manufactured dwelling.
Not to expand allowable areas?
Well, it's for you guys to decide. To
So
reduce
everything
or
is open
expand.
for discussion under this item.
And I think, Chairwoman, made the point, as far as the history was concerned. I think this was a topic of expanded discussion during a period of time where we were looking at a proposed subdivision. That there was not a total understanding at that moment in what these regulations were. In fact, I think there were some, different conceptions on exactly what
What it is.
these were. And so it was referred to a future meeting so that the building inspector could provide some clarity, that I could speak to some of the HUD standards and what regulates this. And so I think the idea was to bring it back to a meeting so we could have this larger discussion and understanding of what those regulations are, what the difference was, because as was pointed out, I think there were some misunderstandings that were discussed at that meeting, and so it's a good idea just to have this conversation about those differences, and that's what we wanted to bring forward and have that clarity from the building inspector.
Okay, thank you.
And I did view it too as a potential, I mean, if it comes forward again, you know, if a subdivision is proposed, especially being that close to the Rome Town Center and economic development, we've talked about that as dense development and a walkability of it for a certain, I viewed it as a potential missed opportunity for a certain type of development. So it changed from R2 for this type of housing because people came in and spoke against it. We want to hear what our population wants to say, but there was concern and fear that we might let the wrong type of housing in there, but it was due to a lack of understanding. So then it went to R1, single family, and now we have what we have. But so we think of these things moving forward. If there's gonna be a type of development, we shouldn't fear R2 because it'll allow a certain type of dwelling. So we have a fuller understanding of what these actually mean. That's why I asked for the clarification. Thank you.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions or comments they'd like to make regarding this item?
Just a quick question, does R1 allow a manufactured home or not?
No.
Manufactured dwelling,
Manufactured dwelling, yes.
there's a difference.
Yes.
No to both.
Okay.
R1, those are only allowed in R2.
R2, that's what you just told me.
Okay.
Okay. Then we're going to move on to item number 14. Discuss and possible referral to a future agenda regarding discussion regarding permitted fence types in rural residential districts.
Included in the packet is fences, walls, and hedges. Currently, security fences are not permitted in any residential districts. This was brought up regarding specifically rural estate residents and the possibility of them wanting a security fence, especially if it's truly a rural estate and it's spread through rural residents and rural estate residents because they are very similar property.
I was the one that asked to have this brought up because I think it's unfair to prohibit security fences in R4 and R5 where you got minimum 5 acre lots or bigger. They're not gonna interfere or cause any issue. Yes, we don't want them in R1 or 2, but I think we need to take another look at this. What recently came up when we had the communication tower issue, and that's not the reason I brought this up. I just feel that there's other people that have some pretty nice homes out in rural residential areas that may want to have a security fence. And according to our regulation ordinances, they cannot do that. I don't think that's fair.
Emily, how is that stated in ordinance as far as for the zoning districts?
It just says a security fence shall be permitted in all non-residential districts. That's all it says.
Security fences are chain link.
That's rural.
Can be any kind of fence.
It's
But-
specifically 8 feet tall. That, like, the height is the main difference here.
Okay. So security would be 8.
10.
And it could have barbed wire on it.
Sorry, yeah, 10 maximum height instead of 6.
Okay.
I don't think it has to be 8. I think 6 is, security fence can be 6 foot, can it?
Yeah, I mean, currently 6 foot is the maximum height in all residential districts.
Yeah,
Where
okay.
allowing security fences would increase that maximum height to 10 feet. Barbed wire is still not permitted in any residential districts, so that would not be part of this.
If I can't have so we can't have fence, go ahead, you go with yours
What, did the
first.
property on 8th Street, north of D, come in for a special use or something?
No.
Because there's a wall around it,
Yeah, they got a wall.
and an electronic gate, and a pass key.
Is it,
It looks like a fortress.
I don't know if that's considered a
Is it-
fence though, isn't it just the,
It's a.
No, it's a wall with gates.
well, it's two
Oh.
supports that
On-
hold the gates though,
Yeah,
correct?
Well,
I believe it
On-
surrounds the property, doesn't it?
I don't think so.
No, just,
which one are we talking about? I feel like there's 2.
I think there's some cranberry owners
Yes,
that have that
that's the
big
one.
estate
Oh.
Quarter.
on 8th, you know which one we're talking about?
I do know.
And I think those two
they just,
brick structures just support the gate. They don't, I don't believe they
I
go
don't
around
think
the
it surrounds
property.
the
No.
property. It is
so it's
a
not,
gate
it
across
doesn't
the
fall as,
driveway though.
under this definition.
Yeah.
So some of the key points would be look to the definitions. That would be one good place to start for both the definition of fence and security fence. And then I would agree with the zoning administrator's comments about barbed wire.
Well, not to be, they all say fence, so it's a little hard, but I mean, they all say fence, but,
I was saying it to the point that the question came up on whether or not that was a fence. And so I just thought that was important to point out that we look to our definition for whether that's a fence. And I think it's, the key point is forming an enclosure, a barrier or boundary between properties. So I don't know that specific property, but we would have to look at that and compare that to the definition.
I guess, you know, people buy homes, and if they take care of their homes and they want a fence, why do we make it so hard for them? I mean, quite honestly, we have all these rules about fences. Either you gotta have a permit, you don't need a permit, you can have a certain type of fence if you're in a certain type of area. If we make it so hard, you can have a hedge, you can have a wall, you can have a fence.
Well, I can understand in R1 and R2, which are small lots, not allowing 8 or 10 foot fence, a security fence, but
A small lot meaning what, Jerry? Like less than
one
an
acre.
acre?
Well, some of it could be less than 1 acre.
Well, if I have a 1 acre and I want a fence around my property to keep people and animals out, I
He's
can have
talking
a
about
fence.
Well, you can-
10-foot fences.
You can have a
or
6, but you
6
can't have it 8 or 10. Right now, you can have a 6.
I'm just playing devil's advocate, but the higher the better. I'm just saying, you know, I'm just saying rules, the rules just seem to be getting to a point where it's just, but I'm just making comments here, but
I think our fence is similar to, often when people are in Arrowhead, they also need a fence permit from Arrowhead. And I think our rules are similar to that property owners association as far as fencing too. But those individuals need 2 permits, one for Arrowhead and one for us.
a lot of people break those rules though, but
Yes, they do.
And that's for
yes,
any
they
fence.
do.
That's for any fence?
That's for any fence. Except for
Most-
ornamental that.
Or, and like, you don't need a fence to go around your garden.
To what? I'm sorry.
You don't need a garden
You can
fence.
enclose your garden with a fence. Depends if you're in Arrowhead.
Yeah, we can't speak on Arrowhead.
I don't have a check lately. Have you?
I don't have a garden.
I did have a garden.
So just a question in regard to Jerry's statement. Have we ever had anybody ask to put up a higher than 6-foot fence at their home or their acreage on 5 acres?
Well, just
No one
recently we
has
did.
asked.
They were looking for a rezone so that they put up the fence, correct?
That
That's right.
was
They
the-
were-
that
They
was
were gonna
for
have to
the mobile
rezone and put up
siting.
a fence. That's
Right.
foolish.
That was for the mobile sighting tower thing.
Yeah.
Correct.
But they did sign and agree and are going to do the 6 in the area that the zoning wasn't changed, yes?
Yes, they're not gonna have a security
Yeah.
fence for that now.
We denied the zoning change.
Yes.
And this is the mobile tower that we were talking about.
Yeah, the one-
That one was, yes.
Yeah, I missed that meeting.
They are gonna have a fence, aren't they? It's just not,
They'll have
yeah,
a fence.
they'll have a 6-foot in that area, just not a.
No barbed wire. But now, Jerry, these folks you're referring to live on 5 acres and they want what kind of fence?
A security fence. I'm just saying, make it available. If you got 5 acres or more and you build a really nice mansion out there and you wanna have some security, you can put up a security fence, which is higher than 6 feet.
Okay.
Currently, you can't.
And that would just basically be R4,
R4, R5.
R5, yeah.
Does that go in with the current comprehensive plan? How does that go against what we have up at the North Central Regional Planning? Does that work with the current comp plan that we're having?
I would see
redone?
no issues with
Fence,
that.
You
yeah.
don't? All right,
No,
well
there should
then,
be no issue with it.
all right, I guess.
Just, I'm trying to make it a little easier for those people that wanna put a fence up on bigger lots. Not changing those for R1 or R2, but
So do we need to change? What do we-
And it
So-
wouldn't be a,
You'd-
Oh, it
you'd
only
be
says-
making-
boundary.
You'd be making a referral to the next
Yes.
agenda, and then I can draw
Yes.
up the language that would reflect that.
Yeah,
That would be my recommendation.
Yeah.
Everybody else agrees that there's a reason to change it.
I think we should just look at, are there any other fences that we wanna take a look at? I mean, are we like over-regulated on fence allowances, Emily? Is that the
No,
only one?
I don't really get, besides people wanting to put their fences right on their property lines and not maintain the outside of it, I don't really get complaints about other types of fences.
And they'll come to you if they need something, right?
I hope. I
Alright,
can't
well,
promise
they'll
that they
Come
will.
to somebody, no, but, alright.
What about height issues?
I haven't been,
Nothing with height issues? If someone did
I mean,
build a higher?
they ask and I tell them 6 feet is the height maximum, and they said, okay. There's not really much discussion.
Who was that guy in that handyman when we saw his hat?
Bills.
Yes, it was. But yeah, okay, I say we refer this to the next meeting and we'll deal with it then, if everybody's okay with that.
Do you wanna
right?
see draft language for security fences in R4 and 5?
Yeah.
Right.
So no public hearing, just.
So it would be erected at, like, it would stay basically an enclosure, barrier, or boundary, the security fence, we would,
Yeah, the
Yep.
only, the language that you'll see will be under 360-139. That's where I'll make the update.
That's security.
right.
Yeah.
But in there, you wouldn't be, I was gonna save that for later. We would not put in there anything relative to the specific definition, because that would still remain the same. There would be no change to the definition.
Yeah,
Probably.
what I'm hearing would be an adjustment to sub D.
Why would we just have it under
It's-
sub D though? Jerry, do you want it under just sub D? Why wouldn't we just do it under all of them? I
No,
mean-
that's where it should be.
That's
That's
where it would be.
that's
That's-
the only thing that's relevant.
That's-
Oh, all right.
That's security fences.
So you're just gonna change it to reflect somehow R4, R5?
Correct.
All right. That only take 5 minutes. Is that okay then? Next meeting?
Well,
Just say it. I gotta think
And then-
harder.
I just say
The question is, do you want to see that language without a public hearing, or do you want the public hearing as well, based off of what you're hearing?
I think we should maybe,
Why don't we just have the public hearing and then the discussion, and
in case people
Yeah.
have some sort of feeling against
that's
it,
what my
just in
recommendation
case.
would be, Mr. Chair.
I don't know that we're gonna have anybody that's really gonna show up for a public hearing on that anyway, so you can,
Right, go ahead and get it over with.
exactly.
Otherwise, they'll say, oh, well, they didn't care how we felt
Kind of
about it.
jinxing yourself.
Well,
Besides, we need Mike to stay here past 4:15.
Something important to do at the next meeting that
I plan my whole day around this meeting, so.
life, you meant to say life, you said day.
Let's see. My life is controlled by others. Okay. The, item number 15 then, our next agenda items, review of permitted and conditional uses in all zoning districts.
I've got one, the commercial A, Rome Town Center accessory buildings. And I will move, I'm gonna make a motion that we postpone indefinitely until we have our planning and zoning department, in place, that we postpone indefinitely the Timberline Park plat map, since we don't have the final. Cause some other issues have come to light and we really need to rediscuss that.
I'll second that motion.
Can that be a motion in a second?
For next agenda, well,
I mean, otherwise, it's really just a referral that it's not gonna make the next agenda. I mean, it just kind of
Right,
sits.
we're not
Yeah, I
gonna
mean,
put it on the agenda.
However you do it, it's just not going to be on the next agenda. is what I'm hearing.
what are the issues, other than we don't have the final draft?
we received information that, not all design elements, were considered at the time it came to light. And we'd like an opportunity to do that.
So are you bringing back then the developers of the subdivision for that?
The town's the developer. And once we have a planning and zoning administrator, they can review the items that were out there that were not considered.
Okay.
We have, we hopefully have a site plan of operation for a pumpkin patch for next month.
I think that's fun.
And then I have a question as a possible next agenda item. So, JWS Beverage and Catering and Rentals, we saw their plan of operation for in the Lake Arrowhead Association. They were denied by Lake Arrowhead. They are now renting space in, help me with the building,
MPB Builders.
MPB Builders. So they are sales, I'm just gonna read premises description on this, license application for alcohol beverage. Building is a commercial building with separately housed multiple businesses. The rear overhead and side entry door is the locked access point for JWS Beverage. The separate store for JWS is the open concept warehouse space at the rear of the building where the access is private and secured. All sales are done in person within the warehouse facility where the equipment and product will also be housed. Records will be kept in a fireproof and secured filing system. No consumption of product will be done at the site and will only be consumed off the site. So considering that sales will be done at this property, and it's technically two things. It's warehousing for product, and it's, she has quotes, a store for JWS, as sales will be done at the site. Would you guys like to see a site plan of operation for this business?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Is that where When in Rome is? Is that where the print
Yes.
shop
That
is?
building.
Okay, that building. Okay.
Yes.
So she's not doing anything in Lake Arrowhead at all?
No.
Okay.
I didn't think that was.
That will relay the message and likely see her next one.
Okay.
And then it was discussed earlier, but the other one would be sign permit for the mural.
Sign permit, I'm sorry.
For the mural.
For the
Oh,
mural.
that's correct. The commercial A in the Rome Town Center, those are just those properties that are right down in here, correct? The pink ones? Those are the ones we're discussing for the accessory buildings?
Yes.
Now, is the church in commercial A?
No.
It's not, okay.
Mixed Town Center, which
That's
is,
right, okay. But there are other businesses because, the owner of Slice of Heaven talked to me. I know the brewery is interested also, so
I
there's
think
a,
almost all of them in ComA
Yeah.
have brought it up.
and it's a matter of outdoor utility
They want
type.
maintenance. They want
Maintenance.
and-
And they're talking about not just a little slap of storage shed on their property. They wanna make it uniform and look nice, but it's
It would have to be.
convenience.
Anything else for the next agenda?
We could drag this out to about 5:15
Then I'll,
the gazebo, so.
I will,
Oh, wait a minute, wait, though, we do have to we have that meeting on the 8th until 3 o'clock or training, so we can't start it right at 3. Can we make that 3:30?
for what meeting?
We have training, that we're
For
signed
what?
up. Well, it's Pacer Whistler training for.
No. What meeting do you wanna start
We-
later?
Our meeting is
I thought we were gonna start at,
You and I
Oh.
have training.
I thought we were gonna start at 4.
Was that a
because
mistake
we
on that?
weren't starting
Where you
the
wanted to
review
start
of
at
the
3
code.
o'clock?
So that wasn't a mistake. Last time we
No.
discussed review of permitted and conditional uses on all zoning districts, and we discussed starting early
If we were
so we
gonna
could
start-
Oh,
cover
I'm sorry, okay.
more.
We
Yeah.
did. Yes, we did.
So we just start at 4 o'clock then, a regular time?
Or we could start at 3:30, so we can get a head start, so we're not here so late.
Do we have any conditional use permits next time? Nothing?
We have at least
Don't hold your
one or
breath.
two
You're turning
already in
blue.
the-
In
So
the
there's a
hopper.
potential for a
for
couple
sure have- well,
CUPs
yeah, they'll
too.
be there for sure.
I don't care. I mean,
But
is
we were
anybody,
kinda trying to help you too, because,
He plans his life around this meeting.
yeah.
that's right.
For
The other
the,
piece
for
is
the
me.
first, for the first meeting to kick off this process, which is going to take a considerable amount of time,
And pain.
it would be a good idea perhaps to introduce this, kind of walk through, get our bearings. We don't need probably an hour to do that. Then we can kind of take this in more bite-sized chunks because it's gonna be a real process to get through that. It's a needed process, one that's overdue, but I think we could probably accomplish that even starting at 4 unless we get a really lengthy agenda.
What time do you have to leave though for next meeting?
That's what we were trying to avoid too,
5:30?
so
So why
3:30?
don't we start at 3:30?
3:30 is fine.
Alrighty,
3:30.
now you can adjourn.
That way we get a break.
Okay, well then I will declare the meeting adjourned at 5:05 PM.
Yay, this is a